So here I am, taking a hike in central Pennsylvania in the mountains, and I come across this little guy on the trail. I was very surprised to see it, and very, very excited, because this is one of the only seeds that I've ever seen, or seed casings, of an American chestnut in the wild, Castanea dentata. Over here, we have the culprit. Again, I have never seen one reproducing in the wild before. You can see at the very, very top, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera there, we have one, a shell still persisting on the tree here in early April, meaning that this American chestnut reproduced. Why am I so excited that a tree reproduced? Well, American chestnut is almost extinct in the wild currently. A fungus was introduced to the United States in the early 1900s, and it killed almost every single one of these trees. And this is an incredibly important tree for our ecosystems and for humans. We think that it was roughly a quarter of all hardwood species in the sort of eastern Appalachian, eastern forest ecosystems. So we lost, 25% of our hardwood trees. And again, those trees were really, really valuable for us. A lot of lumber that you could still find in older houses and older barns that's still holding structures up. It's holding my house up right now, is American chestnut. Very rot-resistant wood. It's also a very fast grower. And these chestnuts, you've probably heard, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. This is a really important food source for humans, an economic value. This is a really, really, really important tree. And imagine if, the forest floor was littered with delicious protein-filled chestnuts, a quarter of all of our hardwood species were dropping them, what impacts that would have on the wildlife when that disappeared from the landscape. So why is this guy persisting? Well, chestnut, like many species of trees, will readily resprout from stumps after the tree has died. So if you cut down an oak, for instance, they're really good at stump sprouting as well. You're killing that big tree, but it'll send up a new sprout from the stumps. American chestnuts do that too. So you can actually see here too, on this tree, evidence of the blight. You can see this reddish, these little red dots in here, and a zone of kind of constriction where the bark is splitting open here. This fungus reproduces on the inside of the bark tissue, and you can kind of see a little bit of it in there potentially on the camera, and it girdles the tree from the inside out. And so these trees will grow, they'll stump sprout, and they'll grow for, 10 years, 15 years, maybe 20 years, long enough, I guess. Again, exciting find for this one to reproduce, but eventually they will succumb to the fungus and die. This fungus, it's Castanea dentata. I don't know if I said the scientific name yet. Closely related to oaks, in the same family, Fagaceae. And so this disease will be inside of the bark tissue of a lot of oaks. So it's just in all of our forests. So as soon as a chestnut gets big enough, it will get infected and it will die. So again, really exciting to see a tree that was able to get big enough to reproduce. But these trees are essentially extirpated, extinct from the wild at this point. There are efforts to reintroduce them. There have been traditional back crossing methods, just traditional plant breeding methods that have been going on for about 100 years now to reintroduce this species. There's also a genetic modification that's happening right now where we've inserted one gene from wheat into the genome of American chestnut that makes it less hospitable for that fungus inside the bark. And so these trees are potentially able to survive. They're doing trials for that to potentially reintroduce this species to the wild. But again, really, really important species, super exciting to see. If you can't tell how excited I am, I did have some leaves. There we go. So you saw the chestnut shell, and here are the leaves. So it's Castanea dentata. Dentata means toothed. We have these toothed, kind of more serrated leaves. Chestnut leaves to me are pretty long, actually, and in summer, I don't know about this guy now. It looks like he's pretty much dead or just about dead from the blight, but they're pretty long leaves that they have and pretty distinctive with that serrated margin. So there you go. Unfortunately, you're not going to see a big, mighty, mature American chestnut likely anytime soon. I saw this tree and I was like, what the heck is this tree? And I look up and I can't tell what the buds are. And I found a tree nearby that is a chestnut that is being impacted by the blight that has the same buds. So we now know this is what American chestnut bark looks like when they get a little bit bigger. We have these vertical ridges that are getting cracked, where we're having flat ridges and flat furrows underneath them. Very exciting to see, super cool. I don't know if I will ever see a chestnut this big ever again in my life. So really, really cool to see. And I got really excited because I couldn't find any evidence of blight, but up here it is. It is getting some blight. Do you want me to grab the, yeah. So you can kind of see that reddish, orangish hue under here. This might kill this tree, but it seems to be trucking. It's rolling here. And again, this is the biggest one I have ever seen. So maybe it just got infected. Maybe it has a little bit of natural resilience and it, you know, it is now succumbing. Who knows? But really exciting to see such a big chestnut, and now to know what the bark looks like, at least on, you know, larger, younger ones. Who's alive right now might not live to see, you know, the glory of American chestnuts return to our eastern forests, but for now, we can maybe have exciting finds like this every once in a while in the woods where some are hanging on long enough to at least reproduce.